some revenue management challenges. Several challenges for revenue management are due to the following issues. The first of them is demand forecasting. Despite the fact that we have reservation systems that collect a lot of information about reservations, cancellations, changes, including timestamps, there's still a lot of difficulty in figuring out demand forecasts because there are a lot of complicating factors. So, for example, there are seasonality effects for a lot of demand, weekly, annual seasonalities. There sometimes are special events, sometimes changing fares affect the demand, and then we have to we don't have as much data because the price has changed. There could be truncation of some demand data, right, due to capacity limitations. Also, our pricing decisions or competitors' pricing decisions may influence the demand. And finally, even the revenue management process itself can influence the demand. If we start offering maybe lower prices at some point, customers may begin to expect those very low prices. And then, even though they were willing to pay a higher price, now they might be holding off, waiting for the lower price that you introduced recently. The problem is also that the decisions with revenue management systems are generally better if they are done in a dynamic way. So, for example, we can change the fares, or we can adjust our forecasts over time, and as a result, we might have to change the booking limits, right? Review them and change them, and adopt new booking limits given the new information that we have. So that, of course, complicates the systems. And the third issue here is variable capacity. Even though we assume the capacity is fixed, sometimes it can be adjusted. An example would be you can replace an aircraft on a certain connection. Sometimes you have an opportunity to replace it with a smaller one or with a larger one, depending on the demand that you're experiencing, right? And similarly, in the car rental, you can sometimes move cars from one location to another, right? So actually, you begin to have more flexibility in terms of adjusting capacity, but at the same time, right, that is a complicating factor because suddenly something that we assume to be constant is no longer constant. Some other problems in revenue management, some other challenges, are how to construct good, what we call fences. Fences are the types of restrictions that differentiate among customer segments so that we don't allow some customers to buy maybe lower fare tickets or reservations, right? So in airlines, for example, we have one way versus round trip. Round trip will cost you less per one flight than the one way. Saturday night stay requirement is another interesting fence because typically business customers don't want to stay over the weekend, whereas leisure travelers normally include the weekend in their holiday plans, and even are very likely to include it even if their stay is shorter than 1 week. Non-refundability is another, right? Leisure travelers can accept, maybe business travelers don't want to accept non-refundability restriction or fence. Advance purchase requirement, again, how many days ahead of the flight you have to buy your ticket. When you have multiple fare classes, demand forecasting is made more complex because you have to forecast demand for each fare class and then work out booking limits for each class. Software implementation can be challenging because you need, for example, a revenue management system to have an interface with your reservation system, right? So that they communicate with each other. Revenue management system sends booking limits to the reservation system. Reservation system may send feedback back to the revenue management system in order to update demand forecasts, right? So this can be actually communication both ways. It's a good idea to make this as an integrated system. Group reservations are also a problem because, right, we are assuming everybody buys, reserves one room or buys for one ticket. But what if you have a very large group reservation? Perhaps, this deserves some, similarly to quantity discounts, right? Where if somebody buys 20 tickets for a flight, then, and let's say if the booking limit is smaller than 20, perhaps you should still allow that reservation to happen even though maybe you lose a few reservations at higher prices because this is a large group and in a sense it deserves quantity discount. It would be a bigger loss to lose that group to a competition. And similar problem is on, for example, in airlines, multi-leg connections or multi-day reservations for cars or hotels, right? Again, you buy units that are under different booking limits. For example, in a hotel would have a booking limit, right, for every night for every date, right? And if somebody wants to stay for multiple dates, what if let's say you want 7 nights, but one of those nights already the booking limit is exhausted? Should we still should we allow this reservation or should we disallow it, right? So again, these are challenging things that make the revenue management systems combined with reservation systems actually quite complex because you have a lot of opportunities in exceptional cases where you should maybe break some booking limits in order to increase your expected revenue and your profit.